Protect yourself at all times. We are on it. Here we go. Ron Futrell with the latest edition of the Vegas Sportscast for Friday. Getting ready for the weekend. A lot of NFL stuff to talk about. There's some Rebel basketball. There's a bowl game here in town in Vegas. And also we've got, of course, Vegas Golden Knights. And that's where we usually start off. So that's where we are starting off once again, with no apologies, by the way. Love ice hockey, first of all. But it has captured this town, which doesn't surprise me a whole lot. I figured that hockey here in Vegas, I've seen it work in the past, covering the Thunder when they were here. So it does not surprise me at all. In fact, I predicted it, that hockey would work in this town and would be big. Okay, that being said, I also want to talk about the NBA, make a prediction on what's going on there with the NBA, and mention that. So that's what we got going on here. Okay, first, Vegas Golden Knights, Marc-Andre Fleury returned last night. Well, he returned a couple of nights ago, but to play his old team, his former team. He was with the Penguins for 13 years. They drafted him in 2003. He was the first pick of the NHL draft, and he did not disappoint in Pittsburgh. 3 Stanley Cup championships in Pittsburgh, and including the last 2 years. So the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champs, Marc-Andre Fleury's former team, comes into T-Mobile Arena last night, and the Vegas Golden Knights get a 2-1 win. And Marc-Andre Fleury was just spectacular in the nets. Spectacular in the nets. Made 24 saves on 25 shots. The goal he did give up was almost from behind the net. I know you can't get a shot from behind the net unless you bounce it off the back of the goalie, but let's go here. It was exactly at the side of the net and was snuck in with that. He didn't even see the shot. So, that being said, here we go. Last night, James Neal got a goal with about a minute 40 at the start of the game, to begin the game. So, right off the bat, 1-0 Vegas Golden Knights. And then John Merrill. What a great story this has been here for the Golden Knights. He hasn't played a whole lot lately because he's just been on the naughty list. He got 2 penalties last night, so he had twice he's in the penalty box, which is not something you want to do when you're fighting for a spot on the team, as he has, and then he scores the game winner. With 8 minutes into the third period, he makes it 2-1, and that was the difference right there with a great, just an incredible slap shot from straight on to the net. About 20-footer, 15, 20-footer, and scores the game winner. And so there were times last night in that game when I was just sort of pinching myself and going, the Pittsburgh Penguins are playing in Vegas. And not an exhibition game, not a fun little event just for kids or charity things somewhere at the convention center or blah, blah, blah. Okay? Or even coming in for, as they do in the NHL, coming in for the annual award show here in Vegas, which they do. No, none of that. This was actually the Pittsburgh Penguins playing a regular season game here at T-Mobile Arena, and it was sort of fun to see after 33 years doing sports in town. That was one of those pinch me moments of, wow, okay, this is cool. And then to win, and then to have Vegas beat Pittsburgh. Interesting stat from my buddies over at sinben.vegas, and that's Ken Balke and Jason Pothier. Okay, and Ken brought this up in the news conference yesterday after the game to head coach for the Vegas Golden Knights, Gerard Gallant. And he said that Vegas has beaten all 4 teams in the Final Four from last year. The Final 4 Stanley Cup teams from last year, Vegas has beaten them all, and in fact has a 5-0 record against those teams. So they're not just winning, okay, not just which they're doing that, but they're winning against some of the best in the NHL. And when they did have a bad streak on the road, they were without their top goalie. So right now, 29-20 wins, 9 losses, and 2 shootout losses so far is the record for the Vegas Golden Knights. So by my math, that's 42 points. Second place in the West behind the Kings right now. And they are just, it's fun to watch. They've captured the excitement of this town. And next, the NBA is watching this. That I'm going to cover in a moment. The NBA is watching what's happening here in Vegas. I'm going to make a prediction here in a little bit. But first, Vegas Golden Knights got Florida Panthers, 5 o'clock start on Sunday evening as they have this nice little 5-game home stretch that they've got over Christmas. So next week, they've got 3 games at home. And again, next one, 5 o'clock start, Florida Panthers here at T-Mobile Arena. is the next game for the Vegas Golden Knights. NFL, some great games coming up this weekend. Some great matchups. 3 weeks left in the NFL season. So if you happen to watch the game last night between Denver and Indianapolis, okay. Trevor Siemian went out. Brock Osweiler in and Denver still won. And Colts, of course, looking for a quarterback. Andrew Luck next year. Their seasons, both teams on their way out this season. So that being said, games coming up this weekend. The mountaintop, of course, is New England playing at Pittsburgh. New England is 10-3 this season. Pittsburgh 11-2. Still, Pittsburgh 3-point underdogs at home. How about that? So New England is -3 at Pittsburgh. Okay, and the reason for that is New England lost at Miami last week, and people will look at Belichick and go, Bill Belichick doesn't lose back-to-back games. Doesn't happen. Okay, but they're going to Pittsburgh against Ben Roethlisberger, and what the Steelers have done this year is phenomenal. So, that's the biggest game. Out west, the biggest game, the Rams playing at Seattle, okay? LA Rams are -1 playing at Seattle. A powerful offense. Seattle, you just never know what they're going to do from 1 week to the next. They can match it, go toe for toe with the Rams offensively. Yeah, they have the capability. Russell Wilson has the capability of doing that, but they don't always. This is a team that the last couple of years have had a difficult time getting the ball in the end zone. But that one should be a fun one to see what happens there. San Diego, game tomorrow. There's a Saturday game, a couple of Saturday games, but the key one there, San Diego playing at Kansas City. And San Diego, -1 on the road. San Diego plays well. Come on now. L.A. Chargers. If I call them San Diego again, you get the idea, okay? You know what I mean? But L.A. Chargers playing at Kansas City, and they are a 1 point favorite in that, are the Chargers. And this is a matchup to see which team is going to come out of the AFC West. And Chargers play well on the road. And that's why they're a very slight favorite in this game. And Phillip Rivers is having a career season. He just flat out is. So a lot of fun stuff going on with the NFL this weekend as we look forward to see what's going to happen in the playoffs here, what's going to be going on, and who's going to be making it, and where things are going there. And I know that something the crowd loves. Gets ready, has some fun, and enjoys that. Oh, there will be a crowd, probably a big one, out at Sam Boyd Stadium on Saturday, and that's going to be for the Las Vegas Bowl. Oregon Ducks coming into town, taking on Boise State. Boise State ranked 25th in the nation. Oregon 7-5 out of the Pac-12, and Boise State doing very well this year for them by their standards and winning the Mountain West Conference, so they're the Mountain West representative in this game. And it'll be a pretty good crowd out at that game at Sam Boyd Stadium. May head out to check it out. We'll see how that goes. But it is fun, the festivities they have here in town, with the two teams getting together, doing great things, having a good time, enjoying themselves, and just generally whooping it up. And that will be happening there tomorrow. Okay, NBA stuff. I do want to mention this. And the more I think about this, the more I'm convinced that this is going to happen. And I'm making a prediction here that the NBA is going to announce they're coming to Vegas before the Raiders get here. I think the NBA wants to jump on this. And I'm not basing this on any knowledge that I have. It's just a gut feeling right now that the NBA is seeing what's happening with the Vegas Golden Knights. And they're a little bit pissed probably that they didn't jump on this first and that they didn't get an NBA team here. And there's a handful of NBA teams that want to move, that would like to get out of the situation that they're in and where they're at, and they're not having a tremendous success. They're seeing this market, Vegas, as a market, a progressive market for the future, a growing market, an explosive market, a great market for their fans to come to and travel to. It was sort of interesting last night. An interesting dynamic in last night's game was when Marc-Andre Fleury got announced, everybody in the stadium, 18,000 people, were cheering. 18,029 to be exact, were cheering for him. And there were a lot of Pittsburgh Penguin fans in there, but the Penguin fans wanted to cheer for Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, they didn't cheer for him much once the game started, but there were a lot of Pens fans in the stadium last night. And that had to feel good for Marc-Andre Fleury to get that loud ovation when he, from all the Vegas fans and the Pittsburgh fans that was there, were united in the love and respect for Marc-Andre Fleury, future Hall of Famer in the NHL, period. Future Hall of Famer in the NHL. So I'm seeing this, and I'm thinking the NBA, now the WNBA is coming to Vegas, Las Vegas Aces. They're going to be playing here in 2018, the summer of 2018. They will begin play here. The Summer League has been here for years. Very successful here in Las Vegas. 24 teams from the NBA come here for 3 weeks every summer and play a tournament, a bunch of games, and then go into a tournament format. And they have their Summer League here with rookies, is what it is, rookies and free agents and that sort of stuff. So that's been highly successful here. And the three barriers that kept the NBA from not being here in the past have now all been knocked down. Number one, gaming. You can bet on the sports. Now, that no longer does that matter. Betting is everywhere. Gambling is everywhere right now, almost across the country. I mean, a few states don't have it, so I don't want to say everywhere. But sports betting is not, which is something the Supreme Court's going to decide this summer. This next summer, they're going to decide whether Atlantic City can have sports betting. My guess is that they probably will, but thumbs up on that one. But that being said, the NBA knows that gambling is here. It's happening. People are doing it. And it hadn't stopped the Vegas Golden Knights, not stopped the Raiders. It didn't stop NASCAR from coming here. The big boxing events, the MMA events. Okay, so they get it. That part's done. Second big question was an arena. They needed an arena. We all know what happened in 2007 here with the NBA when it came to Vegas, and someday I'll elaborate on that. But that was an aberration. That was a freak show. That was nuts. That was a horrible night in Las Vegas. And David Stern, the commissioner of the NBA, ripped the Thomas and Mack, at that time the center of the arena. Horrible place for them to play in. Should have never been there, blah, blah, blah. What did he think? It was different than it was? They didn't do a STICE survey? Come on. Well, that being said, the arena thing is now taken care of with T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas. That now can accommodate both an NHL team and an NBA team. So that's number two. Number three issue was whether the fans would support professional team sports here in Las Vegas. We've had the 51s forever, the baseball team, AAA baseball. So that's been here 34 years in Las Vegas. So now the question was, could they support? And when you see what happens with the Vegas Golden Knights, you see that this town can support Major League team sports. Strange to say that they'll probably support hockey better than NBA, would be a prediction of mine. But just because of the nature of the game, and I'm saying that at the point, the NBA certainly is a more popular sport when it comes to TV ratings and things like that. But I'm going to say, knowing Vegas, knowing how this team has already jumped on this and has a head start, and is a new team for Vegas, an expansion franchise, it's our team. They use the hashtag VegasBorn for a reason, because they are Vegas-born. And any other team that comes here is going to come from another city. So they get that. They're going to be the original first team sport in professional Major League sports. Okay? That being said, I think the NBA is going to look very seriously at what's happening here. They're also going to want to get a jump on the Raiders. The Raiders scheduled to come here in 2020. Still stadium issues, and I've talked about this before. They're still not moving as quickly as they need to on the stadium right now, and that's a different podcast for a different day. But they had another stadium meeting this week, yesterday. No movement anywhere. They got to start moving. Okay, they got to start moving on some things and making some stuff happen. That being said, my guess, again, I'm going to mark it down here, that the NBA will at least announce that they are coming to Las Vegas before the Raiders get here. Before the Raiders show up in Las Vegas, that the NBA will have already made an announcement that they are planning on sending a team here. At least that would happen. And there's nothing to keep them really from moving right away. You know, if there's a team that wants to move right away. Get here. Let's do it. So that being said, a bunch going on this weekend. So a lot of sports happening here in town. Rebel basketball team, they've got a game at